went to okay, lady, I got it. So I have, this is broken into, this discussion is broken into several different pieces. And we'll talk, I'll give you a little bit of background if about Y and Z, not Y and Z particularly, but more the commissions and what they have been doing. And then we'll talk about the regular meetings that they have and then the subcommittees that they have. And if you have been going to any of the meetings, going by Zoom, I'd like to have your feedback. And then I'd also like to get people to sign up and attend the public meetings that are starting this week. On Friday, they're going to Lamar for the first public meeting. So there are several details that I'd like to communicate with you. And then, you know, one of the major things is an ask, and I would really like to have people cover each of the districts. So you don't have to go to all the district meetings, but it would be good if we could cover the districts to see what the public is saying about the preliminary map. So launching into the preliminary map, this is, Beth has put up the schedule for the public hearings. So we'll get to that in a few minutes. The map that has been developed is the preliminary map. And the preliminary map was made by the staff and with some guidance around the rules that the commissions have set out for developing the maps that are not in the Constitution. So the preliminary map goes out to the public, and there are 21 public meetings. They have to have at least one in each of the current congressional districts. And people will come and they will say what they think about the preliminary map. They can only draw 3 maps. And if after they get to the 3rd map and the commission itself or the commissions themselves individually cannot agree on the map, then the staff will submit a map to the Supreme Court. And the role of the Supreme Court is to make sure that the criteria that are in the Constitution are followed. So a couple of those criteria are certainly population, and then also communities of interest and compactness, and the lines for the districts can't be what those that we used to have when they would spurt out here and there. So they have to be pretty much a circle or an oval or something along those lines. Now, it's not going to be perfect because there's no way that you can do all the criteria and get to perfection of, you know, absolute perfection for the various districts. The commissions have been meeting, and they have been meeting quite a bit. The Congressional Commission, which is the one I've chosen to look at, has been meeting a couple times a week. There are subcommittees that each of the commissions have, which then requires another meeting by the commissioners. And the congressional subcommittees are the Public Comment and Community of Interest Committee. And then there's the Map Analytics Committee. And then the public hearing and sort of taking care of the public hearings and how they will be conducted. And then they also hired legal people to have available to them to ask questions. And today the Congressional Committee went into executive session to do that. they have several questions of the attorneys that they want answered about various details. And of course, we public don't get to know that until maybe they come back in and tell us what happened. So the legislative group, they have outside legal counsel as well. They have also a public comment, an outreach committee. They have a rules and procedures committee, and they have a mapping and quantitative methods committee. So they're slightly different than the congressional subcommittees. The subcommittee, one of the ones that I have been following, there are two groups that have been attempting to define or provide criteria or guidelines for, I lost my train of thought, for the competitive issue. And these people have been working on this issue. And it has become, it's very complicated. And the people who like analytics are just having a great time, but nobody else understands what they're doing. So as somebody who is on the committee, not necessarily, I don't even know what a p-value is. So that's not even quite true. I do know that, but they're talking about that kind of thing. They're suggesting different kinds of things and making presentations to the commissions so that they might have a very scientific or nearly scientific way of talking about competitiveness. Communities of interest is the other difficult one because communities of interest cross each other. You may have school districts, and you may have water basins, and you may have transportation systems. And so they're struggling with that as well. So that's where we are with drawing the maps. And I mentioned the road shows, the public meetings that they're holding. There are 21 of them, as I said. And we would like very much to have people to cover at least one person to cover at least each of the 7 districts to see what people are saying and to see what the issues are. So, and then the subcommittee meetings are on hold, as I understand it, as they're going along and doing all these public hearings. They just don't have time to fit it all in. Although the Congressional Committee, the main one, the commission itself, is going to be meeting once a week during the public hearing time. These people are really developing something from scratch. This has not been done before. And so they're feeling their way. And there's a lot of chatter to try to see what the issues are and what they should be doing. And they have a lot of not quite understanding all the pieces of the congressional or the constitutional provisions. I find it fascinating that, having been on the group that wrote Y and Z, and I find it really interesting how these people are interpreting what we wrote, what gets into the hands of the implementers and what the writers thought they were conveying and what they thought they wanted. And reality is a different ball of wax than what we were hoping for. Now, it's not extremely different, but it is different. And they also are having to discuss a lot of the minutia that's in the Constitution now about the maps, because they haven't had that much time to talk about it. The writers spent about a couple of years writing it. So we dealt with a lot minutia as well. And then we settled on something and we moved on. So these people are sort of reinventing that, but also coming with different views of what the words say. So that's been kind of fascinating. I've enjoyed that. Has anybody attended any of these meetings?
So Tony, this is Jan Mormon. I just started watching one today, and I didn't realize it was going to be such a big time commitment. I would certainly be willing to sit through one, but I was impressed at how much work it would take to, kind of be the listener. So I'm willing to do it, but I just dipped my toe in the water today.
Yeah, and for right now, the most important thing is to have somebody present at each of the districts, the 7 different districts of the congressional one. I don't think we can cover 100 districts for the state legislature. But if we got a flavor of what people are doing and saying with the congressional districts, that would be great. So if we could get just one person for each CD, that's what my goal is at the moment. So I'm trying to encourage people, and you don't have to go to every one of them. There are duplicates of how many times they will be in District 1 and 2 and 3, so forth. But if you could go to 1 or 2 of them, and they are, to be perfectly honest, I'm anticipating they're going to be lengthy. But I would also say that if you could, go to a portion of one for CD1, for example, and then a portion of another one that's going to be held in CD1. So you wouldn't have to sit there for however many hours it's going to take. But just to get a flavor, to see what people are saying, as an interest to me and the other people who were the drafters of the constitutional amendment, we're just really interested in to see how people are taking this. Alice?
Well, which one would you like me to go through? Along Parker Road, which is where I am, in 10 miles, we are in districts 4, 5, and 6.
You too.
I'm in District 4, and then the place like 2 miles north of me are in District 6, and another 3 miles north of them are in District 5. Parker is just completely divided.
Yeah, and it may end up not being quite so divided in the future, but we shall see. But
I will say
point.
that I was I'm in District 4, but it's up here in northern Colorado.
The schedule, a link to the schedule of public hearings has been put in the chat. If anyone is willing to go to, one of the meetings in their district, will you please let me know in the chat?
So Al, who do you vote for? Which district person?
Right now I'm in District 4, and I've been in District 4, which of course Barb Winnery can do that too, because it's all the way from the northern border all the way down.
Yeah, it wraps around the whole state.
Where we are is kind of the dividing line, and it's
okay. Well, if you guys pick one of the other 2, that would be great. If I was going to do 4.
Yeah, I'll have to say I sat in on the original organizational meetings. I haven't had time to sit in on the other ones, but I'm kind of a participant observer too, because I've submitted testimony for both for the legislative and the congressional districts, and I'm working with a team of people up here, and we are probably going to be at that meeting and really perhaps to submit our comments.
Well, it would be great if you did 4, and then Alice, you pick one of the other 2. So at least we get 2 districts covered.
Okay.
2 of you.
Yeah, I'll be glad to do District 3 because I think District 3 is pretty crazy. right now.
Thanks, Jan.
And if I can't make it because I may be off backpacking, I will find one of the members who's willing to go and take notes. So I will do that because I think it would certainly be a different data point.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I will check and see when the meetings are calendared and let Beth know.
Great.
Okay, that's great. That's great. Thank you.
Tony, this is Nancy Ball. I'll attend 5 here in Montrose. And I think Patrice Shell is also on this meeting, and perhaps she will go with me, but otherwise I will go.
That'll be nice. And Beth, do you want to send out the guidelines, the checkpoints that we put together, the protocol, again, to the people particularly who want to be observing these? I'll do one. So, or is it 2? Who's Diana to get? What's her district?
1.
Yeah, I was right the first time. So, I mean, we got a good start. It's good. I really appreciate that.
I'm going to try to go to the one in Arvada because I think that's the place that's going to get the biggest change, right?
Have you, and have all of you looked at the map, the preliminary map? There are
Yes,
2 actually, one for the state and one for federal.
yep, I've looked at both of them.
Great.
House District 7 is going to be kind of destroyed,
We'll see.
according to the map.
So does the preliminary map count as one of the 3?
Yes, I think so. I think it is one of those ones that I am not clear on.
Oh, I see.
But I do believe it is one of the 3.
Okay, well, I didn't realize, I don't know. I got to get into this. Actually, I will tell you, by working on a testimony, I really have understood all of these different terms better.
Mm-hmm.
And when you start applying them to your own situation, like, so you can look at these things and going, I don't know whether the community of interest for CD4 is the same as it was 10 years ago.
Yeah. And
And
my,
the population
I
growth
thought
up here is crazy.
yeah,
Oh, Parker has totally changed in the last 10 years.
I know.
Parker Road has totally changed in the last 20 years anyway.
Yeah.
And I apologize. I'm not in 5. It's 4, 6, and 7.
Oh my God.
so you're going to do either 6 or 7?
I will do either 6 or 7. I don't know if there's anybody else on the committee who would like to do one of them.
Does 7 go all the way down to Parker Road?
Yep, it actually crosses Parker Road for about, I don't know, maybe a mile. I think they're just
Interesting. I'm in
grabbing the
Lakewood.
population. That's all I can see.
Well, this is important enough that if we have gaps in the schedule, we'll reach out to leaguers in those areas and see if we can't fill them in, even, with people not officially on the Redistricting Observer Corps. But there are links to the maps and the public hearing schedule in the chat box, as well as our observer protocols.
So
Say that again, Beth, please.
In the chat box.
Oh, the chat box. Got it. Okay.
Okay.
So from my point of view, that's the most important thing, is to get people to each of the districts. And, there's plenty to do if you want to add on anything. You can listen to the commission meetings. And I do have a list, and I'll give it to Beth, and she can send it out too. I did get a list today for the Congressional Commission meetings. But they're not going to be doing the subcommittees till September, so we don't need to worry about those right now.
Can I request that the stuff that's in the chat box, I don't know how I save that from time to time. Could that just be put in an email and sent out?
Those links were in the email that came out telling you about today's meeting.
The
Okay,
meeting.
I
Okay.
didn't notice the observer protocols in the link, but
I'm happy to send them out again.
Yeah.
thank
Yeah,
you.
the observer protocols, and we developed that quite a while ago, and it's a general kind of thing. It has we do quote some of the constitutional amendment kind of stuff. And then, but it's more of, you don't have to answer all the questions, and it just gives you an idea of what to look for.
Okay. And if you sent it out earlier,
Yeah, it's okay. We'll just,
but I don't know where.
it's 3 or 4 pages, and Beth can send it out
That
electronically,
would be great. Thank you.
and we'll send it to everybody on this call for sure.
Thank you.
Okay. What else might you want to know?
Are there going to be separate hearings for the state legislature? Or are they going to be,
I'm sorry, Alice.
or are they going to be combined with the congressional ones
Well,
somehow?
the top day, it sounded like they were going to be separate,
Okay.
but I don't know, they might. But then they also said that there was one that they had to, at least one that they had to coordinate with the other group. And I wasn't quite sure if they meant about scheduling it, or if they meant they're going to have it at the same time.
Okay.
But they've been pretty much doing things separately.
The public hearings are together though, or joint.
Not necessarily.
How many commissioners are at these meetings? Are they all supposed to be there, or their representatives?
They would like everybody to be at the meetings, and there has to be at least 3 or 4 in person and
Okay.
a couple on Zoom.
But how many of the commissioners, are all the commissioners, all 12 required to come, or are they splitting it up?
Part of the issue today was, when I was listening in, that some of those questions have not been answered.
I see.
So they're still working on scheduling and what the agenda is and what the introductory remarks are. Beth, are you sure that they're going to do them together?
Well, the schedule is titled Joint Independent Redistricting Commission Calendar.
Okay, well, that would indicate they're doing them together.
Or it could be just that they're posting the meetings together jointly.
Here, I'll share the calendar so we can all look at it and figure it out together. I'm not seeing anything that states that it's one commission versus the other, which leads me to believe they're joined.
Well, but today that they also talked about the fact that they have to reschedule something, and because of conflicts and.
Well, just
So-
the logistics of getting 24 people moving around to do all these things. I could see if they did a Zoom meeting, it would be a lot easier, but to be physically present, I need to probably do some more research, but is there an outline for how you go about testifying or making
is.
comments?
Yeah,
Where
there
is
is.
that?
it's on the website. for
Okay,
the-
I'll look.
And there's a link
On the
that gives
homepage,
the instructions on the home.
to sign up to testify.
On the home page, if you just type in Colorado Independent Redistricting Commissions, you get a lot of information. You can get the schedule, you can get the map,
Okay.
you can get, the commission meetings and when they're going to be held, what the agendas are, all those kinds of things. So, yep, this is the page that you should get to.
Oh, I
It's very
see.
simple.
There it
It's
is. Good. Thank you.
And then the
Mhm.
maps are here.
They're here. See at the top, there's maps and meetings,
Mhm.
public engagement. So whatever you might want.
Okay. I'll check it out. I haven't been there in a week or so.
And the URL is right up there at the top. Was.
Oh, sorry, I'll put it in the chat box, but I'll send it out to y'all as well. We also have a voter going out on Friday that will have a lot of information about this as well.
So is there anything else anybody would like to know?
Yeah, Tony, this is Jan Mormon. I guess I wasn't around to observe or hear about all of the work that was done. That sounds like that you were a part of for the writing the constitutional amendments that are applicable. Where would we go to read those?
We passed the constitutional amendment in 2018. So if you go to the Colorado legislative site and you put in 18 dash, well, I think if you just put in the YNC constitutional amendment or something, it will take you there. And if you have trouble, just let me know and I'll help you.
Okay, thank you.
I'll also send links to the actual wording, Jan.
Yeah, and I guess kind of related to that and picking up, I think it was maybe Barbara who was talking about, you know, how do we sign up to speak? Will you be giving any kind of, you know, sharing thoughts that you have on any of the maps that they're going to be talking about in the public hearings? Because you will be the one who recognizes, you know, maybe how they missed the intent of the amendment. And it certainly seems like a public forum would be a great place to, you know, kind of share those thoughts. In other words, can you coach us on your, you know, your observations?
Well, and that's one of the reasons why we want you to observe to see if the criteria that are in the Constitution are being met by
Okay, so that's part of the guide.
yeah.
I'll take a look at the guide. Thank you.
And again, if any of you want further information or you're stumbling with something, just, you know, please call me or call Beth. No problem.
Great.
I don't know if you noticed Barb Dungy's last chat. It says that she said if you scroll down on the redistricting page, you'll see that labeling LeVar, Burlington, and Sterling meetings as joint meetings.
Okay.
Okay.
At least those are probably, I mean, it would seem to me it'd be more efficient if they were
Joint,
joint.
yeah.
Yeah, it does to me too, but think of the testimony between the two.
They're anticipating spending a long time.
I can see that. Wow. I mean, just even reading, it's interesting to read the comments that people have submitted
Mm-hmm.
too, if anybody really wants to take a journey down that path. That there's some organized groups out there putting
Yeah.
forth their proposals.
Yes, there are. I know Common Cause has been trying to rally their troops and get them to comment. And then in the local areas, there are people who have gotten together and to comment on the map to see if it does what they want it to do.
Exactly.
We were told that you can go to the meeting without registering. If you go in advance, they'll have you sign up at the site as well as signing up online. So if you can't get online to sign up, or you can go early and sign up at the meeting if you get there early.
Yeah, okay.
So do you have to testify to go to a meeting, or can you just go and observe?
You can go and observe.
Okay.
There's one at the Capitol next week, which I think I'll try to go to.
Are any of these being Zoomed so you could sit
Yeah.
in from a distance?
They're all being Zoomed,
Okay.
and they're all recorded
Okay.
and archived.
Oh, this will be by listening to testimony at the state capitol.
Well, it might, yeah, you're right, Barbara.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's like watching paint dry too.
Yeah,
I found the organizational meetings interesting, you know, how they went about trying to figure out with, they needed lawyers and they needed this and that. And that was fun.
Yeah. Well, there are parts of all the meetings I've watched that have been
Mhm.
kind of fun, but then there's other things, they're just chit chatting.
Okay, well,
Is
I
there-
I
are there
better go.
any- Are there any members who are kind of taking the lead?
That they have appointed, and I think what happened was is that the governor appointed the chair. And so the woman who is the chair of the congressional group really does a nice job. And she does lead the group really well. Within that group, there are 2 or 3 people who are a little bit more vocal than the others, but the others are chiming in. And I'm kind of amazed at the skills these people have. I mean, there is one who knows a lot about map drawing and analytics. And,
Mhm.
I didn't think we'd get somebody like that.
I read the bios and they were all pretty applicable to what they're going to be doing.
Mhm.
Now, they had a lot of professional experience and background. I agree with you as far as the analytics and the use of computer programs and all that. I was impressed.
Yeah, me too. I think the most interesting person is the gentleman from Mali. He is a US citizen, but it's just kind of fun to have somebody from a foreign country.
Yeah.
Anything else? Well,
Well,
I think a lot of my goal has been accomplished. We will continue to, the question did come up, are we going to meet every couple of weeks? I'm glad to hear your thoughts. I'm just thinking that we won't have all the information from the various districts in a couple of weeks. So are you okay with, yes, I don't have my glasses on, so I can't.
Hi,
Barbara.
this is Barbara. Could I make a suggestion?
Sure.
I could set up a free doodle poll online and we could invite everyone to send the link to each of us. And each person could go in and check off which meetings, which I've entered, that they can cover. And that way we can all see who's covering what easily.
That would be great, because also it would catch some people who obviously aren't here tonight too, that might be interested.
And we could share that link with anyone that can help us. So I'll tell you what, how about if I do that and I'll send the information to you, Tony? Is that good? And then
Yeah.
you can pass it on to everyone that you,
Beth does that kind of thing.
oh, Beth, you want me to send it to Beth?
Please.
I will do that. But I think that'll help because that way we're committing to what we can and everyone can see where the
Right.
gaps are.
Great.
Yeah.
And I'll organize them by CD.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Okay, anything else?
Well, I just recommend maybe we wait till we get past these initial meetings to meet again and kind of see how the schedule's coming together. Which maybe isn't a month from now unless something comes up, I guess.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking too, that it would be good to, have the collection of people's experience with several different districts.
Right.
I want to spend a little bit longer than we're spending tonight and get the feedback. Alana, did you have a question? I thought I saw your hand up. Okay,
How many people do you generally have, or do you have signed up to do this?
About 110.
Oh my gosh. Well, we got to get them to work.
Yeah.
right, exactly. That's what we're trying to do. Barbara.
Tony, I have one other suggestion which might or might not help. With Cameron's help, I could set up a forum on the the state website, and people would be able to write comments in there. For example, if they cover a meeting, they could put a short note in saying, this is what I observed. I don't know. And it could be, of course, limited, so it's only visible and only accessible to us. That's a thought.
I think Beth would like to say something.
Yeah, we may already have that set up preliminarily, Barb. So let's,
Great.
I'll check in with Cameron about that.
So if you could just, yeah, share the, well, I don't know if you'd need to add us to a group or whatever. Yeah, check with Cameron. But that way we wouldn't have to wait like for a couple weeks or something.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
I think it would be interesting to hear what people are saying as the meetings go on, because there's going to be so many different things to talk about.
Mhm. And how do you synthesize all that as
Yeah.
committee?
Yeah.
Well, I'm wondering how they're synthesizing the written comments. So it'll be interesting to see how the spoken ones will be.
So
They're guaranteeing us that they're reading all the comments that are coming in. The staff, not
The
necessarily.
staff. Okay. I wonder how they're compiling that data.
Yeah.
So I have a question. It makes sense that the league is doing this, Tony, but I am wondering the outcome of all of our observations and thinking on it. What do we imagine we will do as a league with the insights?
My basic thought on that is, or goal is, that what is not working well, we would attempt for the next round to make amendments to the Constitution to make the process better.
Not to mention file a lawsuit in the immediate if something is seriously going down right now.
Okay, thank you. That will help me put a note out to our members here, because I think it's always good to know where this is headed and what we're planning on doing.
Mhm.
We are kind of a petri dish for the whole nation, aren't we?
California used this kind of thing 10 years ago.
Oh, they
And
did?
we have Michigan and Utah and one other state. I think there are 5 of us. They're not exactly the same as us, but also as a footnote to what you're asking, is that the National League's priority is people-powered fair maps. And they have gotten a grant that they give us money to use to do the things that we think are necessary in our state. Now, most states obviously are really in the thick of this because they don't have the commissions yet. But, and we're kind of lucky about that. But I think it's really important, since we're an example and we're doing things slightly differently than California, to put in the pot the things that we're observing of the process, what we think about it. Anything else? Okay,
All right.
let's go get them.
All righty.
Thank
team.
you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, everybody.
Okay,
Bye.
carry on.